Heyo, Facebook people, podcast people, YouTube people, good to see you. Glad to be here. For those of you that are new, today is where Lindsay grabs questions from you guys as a community in the Facebook group and email Mike, or actually support at growmycleaningcompany.com. So if you have a question, hit us in the Facebook group, tag Lindsay, or just email support at growmycleaningcompany.com and you'll be up. That said, Lindsay is a big fan of themes. What's the theme we got working today, lady?
All right. So we want to know, Cleaning Nation, what you're struggling with to work less in your cleaning company. So I asked everyone in my post and my email to respond back with their biggest question about working less in their cleaning company. And our first response came from Grace. And in the email,
so hold on, right before, let me just set the table a bit because this is such a big one.
Good one.
So for the clients that we work with, because we get people that are just starting off, we don't take a ton of those, all the way up to millions of dollars of revenue. Kind of the first big thing we coach you to do is obviously get out of cleaning. And then the second kind of thing is that, well, the big things that we want in whatever order are 30% profit without cleaning, right? So if you're cleaning, that's not profit, that's wages for a job. So 30% profit without cleaning, and we want to get you to $1 million as quick as possible. So that's $300 a year in profit, working 0 to 15 hours a week from anywhere, right? You don't have to be present to win. So that's the goal. So I just want to set the table. If you're, some of you out there like, I want it to be a completely passive, hands-off deal that we can't help you with. But if you're working more than some weeks 0, you should be able to take vacations. Some average week 5 or 10 hours, and every now and again a 15, God forbid, a 20 hour week. If you're not there and want help, that's what we can help you get to. But if you want a 0 hour week deal, like even real estate doesn't take 0. You got to file for, an LLC, and you got to deal with the property manager, and there's always something, right? So just want to set the stakes is when we say work less, what does that mean, right? And some of you are like, well, I am working 15 hours a week, but I'm not growing as fast. So then you still aren't going to work more. You're just going to leverage your time to get the results that you want in the time that we got. All right. So just want to set the table. What did Grace have to say? What was her question? Talk to me.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll just read the question because she went off of the email. So in the email, I gave examples like cleaning, rags, driving, marketing, payroll, accounting, sales, answering phones. What do you want to do less of? And Grace said, if I'm not cleaning, doing rags, driving, marketing, payroll, accounting, sales, then what do I do? And I was like, that is such a good question.
For those of you guys that have followed, I get fussy at what I consider, not fussy, but I get, the better the question, the better value I can give. Grace, that's an excellent question. Because what not to do is super important. But to get you guys to work less, like we talked about, if you're not making any money, you're not growing, well, at least not working, at least if you're not going to grow and make a ton of money, at least don't work a lot of hours doing it. But if you're like, great, I'm not working a lot of hours, but what should I be doing? That's just such a good question. Because the goal isn't to do nothing. It's to do the things that you want to do. So I'm just really in love with that question, Grace. I wish we had you email Lindsay, we'll send you a shirt or something. You reach out to Lindsay, we will give you a gift for hitting such a good question. Okay, to answer that question, kind of in order of importance, first and foremost thing for the owner to do is set the vision. Where are we going? What are we doing? What's the plan? And it's very hard to do that while you're cleaning toilets. Like just when you're working in it, you can't. I kind of like the picture of outside and slightly elevated from your business, right? Like the worst thing is I am my business, right? I don't even have my own identity. It is me. I am it. We want to get outside of the business, right? Not where it's a separate thing we can look at, and slightly elevated looking down on it is even better. So that's vision. Where are we going? What's the purpose? Why would everybody want to be on this train? Customers, employees, like where are we going? That's the number one job. The number two job would be setting the culture. What does it feel like to show up, right? Like what are the rules that nobody talks about, but I have an 8-year-old. We eat way too much Chick-fil-A. The way that it feels when you walk into a Chick-fil-A or an In-N-Out is very different than if you walk into a Burger King or Taco Bell. Not better word. Well, if you look at the numbers of earnings per store, Chick-fil-A is better. But just from a personal thing, that's culture, right? The way that you feel when you walk in, and the way I've heard from Chick-fil-A employees and I've heard from McDonald's employees, wildly different, right? So number two would be setting the culture for the team, which when done right is going to really bleed out into your customers. And the third thing would be systems and processes, right? And that, as you get bigger, can be kind of done by management. But when you're just starting, getting to that couple million, your first couple million, a lot of that's going to be you as the owner setting those. And those would be the three things that we want you to, the two things you're always going to be doing are setting the vision and setting the culture. That's always you. The systems and processes, you're not going to really get off your plate probably till a couple million in revenue at least. Although you can have other people that help you with that. And then another thing that is still high leverage, but you don't have to do, could be sales. So that is still working in your business, right? Because if you sell today, nice thing about cleaning is ideally that's a customer you'll have for months to come. But if you want to keep growing, you'll have to sell again tomorrow. So it's not the highest leverage thing that you can do, but it's still pretty good pay, right? If you're doing, we'll go, because commercial, it's an astronomically good use of your time. Residential, say your average client's $400 a month. They stay 2 years. That's $10,000 in revenue. Say an average sales call takes you 90 minutes to do the first call to set it up, drive out, blah, 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 blah. You sell half, so 90 minutes, if you sell it, it'd be worth 10 grand, but say you only sell half, so it's still worth 5 grand. We're talking 3 grand an hour for revenue. Not bad. So in order, great question, Grace. Setting the vision is number 1. Setting the culture is number 2. Those are the 2 things you're always going to do as an owner. Up until a couple $1 million, you're probably going to be a lot of systems and processes setting up yourself, and then sales. Even in a couple $1 million, if you're doing commercial, I'd still be doing sales. If you're doing residential, get a salesperson. All right, long answer, short question, as is my custom. What do you have to add? What am I missing? What does Clean Nation need to hear on that, Lindsay, or should we just go on number 2?
Just a quick comment. I really liked your comparison for culture for Chick-fil-A. I feel like culture is a tricky concept to pin down sometimes. That's missing a lot, especially with hiring and hiring funnels. So I really like that. Just a shout out on that comparison. Got to use that one more.
And let me, just to make it even simpler, because I've been trying not to use the word culture because it is very squishy. People are like, oh, thanks, Mike. Mm-hmm. Like, great. So the next question of, Grace, am I good? Now I know what to do. How do I do it? Right. So where do you set the vision? A lot of that could be, basically money and impact, right? Like, here's the lives that we want to change, and here's the money it's going to take to do it. So that's obviously that would be a larger question that's mostly up to you. I can't tell you what your vision is or should be. But when it comes to culture, the easy version of that is like mindset. When I heard mindset, I'm like, I know I should have a better mindset. I don't know what the heck that means. When someone just said, it's just your beliefs, I'm like, oh, why don't you just say that? I know what beliefs mean. Same with culture. Like, you got to build a good culture. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I get when I walk into Chick-fil-A, it feels special, but I don't know how to do, like, what are you doing? It's just being crystal clear on your core values and living those out. So for us, it's have fun, make money, be real, and help out. So step 1, like, I don't know Chick-fil-A's core values, but I guarantee if I Googled it right now, they'd have them out. They'd have them on the website. I go, that's why it feels the way, like, it would be the key to be like, oh, now I know what that means. So the simple version of how to do culture is just get crystal clear on your core values and make sure and again, we don't find people that don't share those values and try and beat them into submission, because that will be frustrating for you and they won't like it either. I can promise you. You find people that already share those values. You're like, hey, want to get on my boat and row in this direction, i.e. the vision. And how do we want to row? Well, we're going to do it by having fun, making money, being real, and helping out. But you're going to fill in your core values. So if for those of you that are like, I love the culture, but what does that mean? Just distill your core values into 5 or 10 very powerful, clear words that aren't corporate. Have fun, make money, be real, help out. None of that super like fancy words that sound impressive. They're just something my 5-year-old could get. But if you spend 5 minutes with our company, you can go, yeah, this is fun. And they do seem to help out, or they do want to make money. And this guy does seem real, or not. So there you go. A little bonus on what building a culture actually looks like. Because thank Lindsay if you like that, and curse at her if you don't.
No cursing.
All right, don't curse, but send her sad face email. She'll get the point.
All right, well explained. I really like that.
Hey, Clean Nation, Mike Campion here. One of my least favorite things about these podcasts are we found that people love the show and they love the information, but when I talk to you guys in person, stuff doesn't get done. People love the podcast, but they don't take any action. If you'd like to actually implement this and get this done in your world, we have a whole team of people that do exactly that. If you go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, you can book a time with either myself personally or one of our teammates to at least help you come up with a plan to actually implement and change change your life. So if you want to go from getting these good ideas in your head to getting them in your life, just book a free call with myself or my team, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. And we can go from this one-to-many format to one-to-one and really get you some results. Excited to talk.
All right. So next up, we have Leona, who emailed in, and what's keeping her from working less sounds like hiring. She's got some hiring issues. She says, I'm in the South. People want handouts, disability, just don't want to work, or they say they do, and then they'll fail to show up. This is the situation I'm dealing with. Or they want money under the table. That's a big one I've seen a lot. They don't want disability cutoffs or me to offer and they offer her very little hours. So Mike, take it away.
All right, so that doesn't super sound like saving time, but it's such a good question. I'm gonna let it slide. So this insidious type of belief, remember we talked about mindset. So this insidious mindset or belief gets into a lot of business. So I want to kind of answer all of the ways that we do this that are not helpful. We take something that's generally true and make it always true, right? So this used to not be political. So sorry if you're going to send me an angry email. I think humans that observe one another can say generally men are stronger than women. They can bench press more, they can whichever, right? Does that mean every woman is stronger than, or every man is stronger than every woman? Nope. Don't even email me. There's a bunch of women that can lift me and probably whip my butt. I get it. You don't have to prove it. I'm saying it. So two things can be true at once. One, men are generally stronger than women. Doesn't mean we're better. Just if you want to pull out a tree stump, probably get a dude. If you want to do something loving and caring, probably find a lady, right? Doesn't mean it's always true. So that can be true. And there are lots of women that are stronger than me, and I'm a pretty strong dude. That can also be true. So the way that applies to the situation, what was the name of the lady that had that question?
This is Leona.
Leona, the way that applies to Leona and all that kind of thinking is it can be true that there's lots and lots of people out there, maybe even the majority of people. And especially we do it in my area, like that makes it somehow specific. And guys, gals, we've been doing this for a decade. We've coached every single state, every major city in the US, every province in Canada, a dozen countries. Everyone thinks their area is different. We've been doing this long enough, I can assure you. In global things like how people believe, it's not like, well, people want to work in Arizona, but not in Texas. Like that ain't the case. Like, again, that's like saying, yeah, that's just not the truth. So is it possible and likely in all the states I mentioned, there are lazy people who don't want to work? Yes. Is it also true if you go to the aforementioned Chick-fil-A, they got 30 people right now that are working over the table, not on disability. So two things can be true. It's possible that many, maybe most, let's even go crazy and say 90%, which I think would be insane because then we wouldn't have a society. But let's just say 90% of people were lazy and only wanted to work on the table. Well, first of all, societies, we know it would end. So we know that's not true, but let's just say it is. Okay, how many people are there in your city? 50,000? Great. How many of the, say only 30% of them are kind of on the lower end. That's 15,000. Great. 90% of them are no good. Great. We're down to 1,500. How many people are you trying to hire this week? 4,000? 10,000? 2. All right. So as it is true that generally men are stronger than women, we also know many women are stronger than men. It may be true that many people, most people don't want to work. It's also true way more than enough people want to work than you need. So it's just the belief of what we want to focus on, right? If I was looking for 20 women that were stronger than 99% of men, I could find those easily. But if I just said, well, you don't get it, women are just weak. Like, well, not really. Like there's some nuance to it, right? So if you start looking for the solution you want, I just need 20 women that can bench press 200 pounds. And I'm guessing that's a very small percentage of women, but there's probably 2 million. I only need 20. So as opposed to worrying about the 4.9 billion that can't bench press 200 pounds, why don't I worry about the 2 million that can when I need 3 of them? So all that to say, and that goes to they don't want to work. They want full-time hours. They don't want to clean. They want to get paid under the table. They're just applying so they don't have to lose their benefits, blah, 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 blah. We can finish all those things and that can all be true. But the reality is way more, same with clients. They don't want to pay. They're too cheap. No one can afford it. You're just talking to the wrong people, right? So numbers wise, it's just not true. But if I go to a nursery looking for strong women and I'm talking to a bunch of 6-month-olds, I could go, I've talked to all these women, none of them can bench press. Well, God dang it, maybe I should talk to some different women. So don't be reactive, right? Like, what are you putting in your ad? Maybe you're attracting, where are you advertising it? If I'm advertising in a nursery for women to bench press, well, there's only two kind of women: those that just gave birth that probably aren't going to bench press a ton at this moment in their lives, and infants that aren't going to bench press. And I could go, all women are weak. Or I could go, what if I went down to the Lifetime Fitness or the LA Fitness? If I did that same post there, maybe I'd get some strong. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't just globalize. So it can be true that people don't want to work. And it can also be true, way more people are willing to do the job than you could possibly hire. You're just probably looking in the wrong place, or you're doing it the wrong way. And if you don't believe me, go down to the Chick-fil-A, find people working harder job for less money because of culture. So it is possible. All right. I feel like I got a little ranty on there, Lindsay. Reel me in, wrap it up,
Yeah.
get the value.
Hopefully we won't get canceled for this episode. I don't know, Mike. How are we doing?
I think 20 years ago, you could just go, women are not as strong as men on the whole, and women and men would go, well, there you go. And now it's like, you son of a, how dare. It's like, again, no offense. Like, again, as a dude, most good, if you want someone to be nurtured or cared about or loved or anything nice to happen, probably talk to a lady. And that's not to say there aren't nurturing, caring fellas, but it's just on the whole. And if you want something blown up or a tree stump pulled out or something dangerous and probably stupid done, you're probably going to get better luck with a dude. Sorry if that's controversial. Please don't email us angrily. We're sorry. But all that to be said, two things can be true at once. The values and the nuance. So yeah, please cancel away, people.
Now you're going to send emails to Mike with, you can curse at Mike. I get emojis, sad emojis. Mike, sad you can emojis. Curse at. Yeah. Yeah. Or angry emojis.
Actually, all if you're, you disagree, just send me a female like flexing emoji. Like, all right, I get you.
Love it. Okay, kind of to bounce off that, Beth emailed in, on Facebook. Her problem is, what's not saving her time is she has slow workers, which means they're not going to make enough money. Then I'll lose them. Any ideas? It's kind of an interesting question. So a little confused too, honestly.
Here's a beautiful thing. Probably one of the biggest beliefs or mindsets that holds people back is this whole thing about we're in the cleaning business. Spoiler alert, we are not. We are in the making people feel good business, right? So when I first started many, many moons ago, I just coached by myself. And I had this silly belief, like, I'm the only one. I've got this magic, blah, blah, blah. And when we hired teams and started doing group coaching and really started scaling, it's like, they're not going to want it. They need me to hold their hand. And guess what? They didn't give a crap. Their only question is, can they help me grow? Can whatever Mike says, grow my business, whether it's Mike or Lindsay or Suzanne or whoever I'm working with, can actually help me grow? And if the answer is yes, surprise, they didn't need me to hold. My magic wasn't all that magic, right? They just wanted the gosh darn results. So we get this, I have to clean because my people want me. No, they're comfortable with you. They just want the result, and they trust that you can give the result. Once you show them someone else can give them a result, they don't care. So once we take off my cleaning is magic and we're the best cleaners and blah, 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 because you're not. It just that really isn't what is important. What's important is how they feel when they come home. Do they feel loved and cared for and relaxed? And if you're a woman, like bench pressing a bunch of weight, if you're sorry, I can't let it go. If they feel the way they want to feel when they come home and they associate that feeling with you and the money they invest with your company, you're doing a great job. So get off you're setting yourself up for failure. I'm like, all right, people clean the best. We never miss anything. We don't cut corners. We clean them. Everything's going to be perfect. We never make a mistake. You're going to make mistakes all the time, as are your people, certainly at scale. So just tell people, we're going to screw up all the time, but by golly, we'll make it right. And we're going to do the goals and to get everything perfect. And if you want someone to get perfect and you're going to walk around and follow them and try and find an error, we're not the right guy for you or gal or people, because you can find, we're always going to have errors. If you just want to come home and feel cared about and loved and be like, I don't have to deal with it. Someone else already did. I can be with my family. I can relax. I can have some me time. That's what you're looking for, that we can provide. So first and foremost, set the table of what you're providing. And it's not everything perfect all the time because they can't afford it and you can't provide it. Second of all, this magic cleaning thing, it really shouldn't take people so let's say in this world, you can clean a house all by yourself in 4 hours, and it takes two people 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like, well, that's 4.5 hours. I got it. So the reality is we got to do something at scale, right? So just because I can do it as an owner, I'm the most motivated, I give the most craps about things in 4 hours, and it takes most people 4 hours or 2 hours, a team of 2 hours and 15 minutes or 4.5 hours. It really takes 4.5 hours to clean, right? So don't bid it if everything goes right. And they're like, well, someone was training. Well, someone's always going to be training, right? It's if you're scaling, 10% of all of your hours are going to be training. So just assume 10, and trainees don't work at 0 speed. They work at 60% speed. So they just work a little slow. So let's build that in. And sometimes the client's going to have something a little extra. And sometimes there's going to be a surprise. And sometimes someone's going to forget something. Wrap it all in. Just assume, right? If it's like, on a perfect day, if everything goes right and the client doesn't look at me or talk to me and everything goes perfect, I make no mistakes, I personally can clean it in 4 hours. Great, let's just bid it at 4.5 or 4:45. Assuming sometimes there's gonna be training, someone's gonna be slow, blah, 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 blah. Now, if it takes me 4 hours and it takes one other guy 8 hours, well, then he's doing a bad job. And no offense, it's not a skill set thing, it is a motivation thing, right? I'm terrible at cleaning, but if it took you 4 hours, it'd take me about 4 hours. If it took me 8, I'm either physically handicapped and which is fine, it's just I'm not the right fit for that job, or I don't give a crap, right? If I'm really motivated, brain surgery is skill set. Like you'd need an actual gosh darn skill set. Dunking a basketball, some athletic ability, some skills. It's not a matter of we could be a great core values match and I still can't dunk a basketball. Cleaning a house, anyone that's got a physical body that works, that is motivated, can figure it out. So we got to get off of this. It's some magic thing, and I can't train anybody to clean. Anybody can clean. Like I worked at a Carl's Jr. for a minute, and by golly, we all made the exact same burgers the exact same way, and everybody could do it, right? And that was a little more skilled because there was fire and equipment that had to be washed and health codes and blah, 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 blah. That was much more complex. If the good folks at, Chick-fil-A, the aforementioned, can make 27 different menu items and not get anyone sick and do this multi-million-dollar thing with a bunch of moving parts, you can have someone take out the trash and sweep up and do a little dusting, right? And wipe down the sinks. Not demeaning what we do. It's important work. And I'm not saying no training is involved, but you just got to get off of this. It's magic, and I've got to get these magic cleaners. Like you don't. You just need people that are core values match and will try hard. That's it. And if they're taking 10 or 20% longer than you, that's just how long it takes. Everyone's not as motivated as you. If they're taking twice as long as you, they're not a good fit. And of course, they can't make any money. They're lazy. So don't make it harder than it needs to be. A little bit of extra. Some people are a little faster, a little slower. We're just going to assume everyone's a little on the slower end, and just so we can scale it. And if they're twice as fast, you got the wrong guy or gal who's, yes, given enough time, you could whip them, beat them, beg them, reward them, and try and make them clean for a week right while you're watching them every second. Or you could just get someone else that's a better fit and get on with your life. All right, I feel like I've been super preachy and ranty. I'm in a good mood, but I'm feeling a little fussy. Not even fussy, like I'm coming off bad. So Lindsay, take us out. Well, if there's another question, let me know. If not, take us out on a high note. Bring us, land this plane.
Oh boy, no pressure. We are going to save the last question because it's actually unrelated, but someone emailed in with a great question about group interviews. So I'm going to save that. There's your preview for next week. We're going to talk about group interviews.
And yeah, maybe next week we do hiring.
Yeah, hiring.
A lot of the stuff wandered into hiring, and that's a big time suck. Whether you're doing the cleaning or doing the hiring, a lot of that can, if you do it wrong, that can take an infinite amount of time. So maybe next week, the tune in if you guys want hiring. Next week it's up.
Yeah, and email me support@growmycleaningcompany.com with your specific questions about hiring, and I will put them to the top of the list to make sure Mike preaches and rants about them on the next episode.
Beautiful. Guys, gals, hopefully that was of value. If you want more, need more, growmycleaningcompany.com. We've done over 1,000. I don't know if we're at 1,100 yet, but we are over 1,000 episodes. Are we over 1,100? Holy heck. I don't know.
We're yeah.
Hundreds of hours of free content. If you want some help, feel free to email me, Mike at growmycleaningcompany.com. Reach out to the team. This is what we do all day, every day. Get some help. See you soon. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.